Hey, what is going on, everybody? Today we are going to be taking a look at one of my favorite builds that I've made in Title Update 10. So I'm just diving right back into Title Update 10. There was a lot of different changes to skills, to weapons, and they also brought a lot of new weapon types, right? And the weapon I'm currently using right now actually allows you to put out more damage with skills and weapon damage. So you can get up to 40% extra weapon damage and 40% extra skill damage, which is unheard of before Title Update 10. But now we have a new weapon that is actually really good to use, and it allows me to create a somewhat of a hybrid build where I'm able to put out damage that you can see that I'm hitting like 500k to the head. I've even spec'd certain ways that I can get up to 600,000 to the head with a skill focused build. Remember, it is a hybrid build, so when you get both turret and both striker drone going off, you just see how fast these heavies just lose their armor instantly. And that's what's cool when you actually have a build that your skills hit really hard and then you hit pretty decent, right? Like I'm still hitting decently with this build. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you how I break down this build and why I chose certain talents over others. So I hope you guys are ready. Let's dive into it. So if we get into the build itself, you're gonna see I'm running 5 yellows, 1 red, and then we actually have 6 reds and then 9 red attributes. So pretty, not pretty standard skill build, because usually everybody runs all skill builds, and you can see my watch level is only 386. One thing to keep in mind, I am running the technician class, so that allows me to hit skill tier 6 without having to stack all of my gear pieces to yellow, right? So I'm allowing myself to add some reds into the build. So let's get into it. So let's talk about the weapon. I am using the Harmony. Now this is the new named high-end rifle. And if you look at my total damage, look, 173,000, RPM 300, 50 round mag. It has rifle damage, critical hit damage, not even maxed out. So this build could still hit a lot harder, right? It does have 9% damage to targets out of cover. I did add that on there, but you can roll whatever you want. And then it has perfectly in sync. And this is what's crazy about this weapon that I'm glad that they brought. Hitting an enemy grants 20% skill damage for 5 seconds. Using a skill or damaging an enemy with a skill grants 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds. And then damaging increases if you have both buffs active. So it's doubled, right? So that means 40% extra skill damage and 40% extra weapon damage for 5 seconds. That's someone's dream. If you're a skill player and you can have a weapon like this with talent like this, you're loving it. Now, we are running a 20 round mag on here, and then for everything else, it's really up to you. I do like running that 3.4 scope. It gives you critical hit chance because you can zoom in, zoom out with it. I do run stability on the muzzle for that 20% stability. For the underbarrel, it's up to you. If you want to have some critical hit chance, if you want to have reload speed, it doesn't really matter. That I'll leave that up to you. So you can't stack the critical hit chance. I do have it on the 3.4 scope that gives you critical hit chance, but I really like it because of the scope itself. But that's up to you. For the secondary, the Bullet King, this is just for enemies when they rush you. You can run any weapon here. The Sweet Dreams also works really good with it for when those purples run towards you and say you're in cover, you can just melee them and then knock them out. Now, I do run the Technician pistol. This is going to give you perfect spike. Headshots grant 25% skill damage for 15 seconds. Now, that's just my backup in case, say, I run out of rifle ammo. Then I switch to this until I can get some more ammo. But let's get into the build, right? So we are running a Wyvern Mask. Now, this is going to give us 10% skill damage for the one piece. We have skill tier on here. We have 10% skill damage. We have skill haste rolled on here. And then we are running a skill haste mod. We definitely want to have skill damage and skill haste on this build so we can get our skills back quicker. Now, I am running a Providence chest piece, and this is going to give me 15% headshot damage. You can also put the new chest piece brand set that gives you 5% weapon damage if you don't want to use the headshot damage. This has weapon damage rolled on here, so this is my 1 red roll. Then I have critical hit damage, critical hit chance, and then I have a critical hit damage mod on here. So some critical hit chance, critical damage allow me to hit those crits every now and then. Now I am running glass cannon, and all damage you deal is amplified by 25%. All damage you deal is amplified. That means that your skills, so my turret, my assault drone, all of those will be amplified by 25%. But you have to also remember that all damage you take is amplified by 50%. Now, if I had perfect glass cannon, I'd probably put that on, but I don't have a good one. All the ones I have bad rolls. But if I could get one that's a little bit better, I would like it. I would also like to have, if one of those rolls could be skill damage, I would like to have the extra skill damage rolled on there somewhere. But I'm not complaining. Those rolls aren't bad for this build because you do want to be able to put out some damage, right? So for the holster, we have the Hannah U holster. This is our first piece of Hannah U. So we have skill haste for the one piece that we have. We have skill tier, skill damage, and skill haste again. Typically on the skill damage pieces, on the yellow pieces, on the skill tier pieces, you do want to have skill damage and skill haste if you can, except on the knee pads, and we'll talk about that in a second. For the backpack is our second piece of Hannah U. This gives us 10% skill damage. If you look, we have the skill tier, skill damage, skill haste. If I already got one that was perfect like this, this is the force multiplier, so this is the named backpack version of it. I would like to be able to roll that mod right there instead of the headshot damage. I would like to have skill haste, but the headshot damage improves it being offensive and a hybrid, right? So having some red rolls is good. Now, perfect combined arms, shooting an enemy increases total skill damage by 30% for 3 seconds. So now the fact that I'm using my rifle to put out damage, I'm giving my skills 30% extra damage. And as long as I'm hitting those shots, it keeps refreshing every 3 seconds. Now for the gloves, we're running our third piece of Hannah U. This gives us 5% weapon damage. So we're getting back on that offensive, and we have skill haste and skill damage. Now for the knee pads, I decided to go with the Fox Prayer knee pads. Now this is going to give me 10% rifle damage. I rolled a 1 skill tier on here, so I could get 5 skill tier plus 6 with the technician specialization. And then remember, we have damage to targets out of cover for 8%, and then we have 7% headshot damage. If somehow I was able to get some skill damage on here, I could, but I know for sure that the Fox Prayer always rolls with reds, so you can only really pick what you want. But I think that's a good spot to put it right there. Now, for the chest piece, if you don't want to run, like I said, if you don't want to run the headshot damage from the Providence, you can also run the Walker and Harris, and that'll give you the 5% weapon damage. So that I'll let you guys decide which one you like to run there. But I personally like that Providence piece. I think that one just fits really good with the build itself. Now for the skills, I am running the Striker Drone. The Striker Drone is going to be 63,000 damage. Now you have to remember, this does not include the amplified damage from the chest piece or the backpack. We have health on here, we have damage on here, and then we have skill haste on the drone. And then for the turret, we have about the same. I think it's damage, health, and skill haste. And I'll show you these mods right now. Yes, damage, skill haste, and health. Yeah, so same thing that we have on the turret and the same thing we have on the drone. So but that's what I usually go with there. So like I told you guys, it's really up to you how you guys want to put the pieces. I just felt this was the best way to take advantage of running the technician, and the technician also gives you that 10% extra skill damage just for having that class too. So there's a lot of benefits of running the technician class. Now, I think once I get my watch maxed out, I'll get an additional 10% damage there. I get my skill haste up, I can bump that up. Skill duration. All of these skills never have any issue with running out, and I usually have no issue running glass cannon with this build, because as long as I stay back, they're usually focused on the turret or they're focused on the drone. They're trying to shoot those things, and by the time they have a chance to even shoot them down, we're already dropping them. And the gameplay you guys were watching was running 4 directives. I think the only one I wasn't running was the one that you start with no ammo, and then this was on heroic. So this was solo, 4 directives, and had no issue running through this mission. So far, I'm enjoying being able to run a little bit more damage on my builds while still being able to put out some type of damage because of a weapon like the Harmony. My goal is to try to get one that is God rolled and fully maxed out, and then see the potential of this build. It was kind of weird at first, right? Because I usually run Seekers. I usually run explosive damage builds. And to finally be running the Striker Drone, to finally be running the turret, and to be able to put out damage was actually a lot of fun. And I'm getting in there, I'm having fun, and it was actually fun running a different type of build than just throwing out my seekers and letting my bombs just like blow everything up, right? It was a lot of fun running this type of build, and I can't wait to see whatever type of hybrid builds I can put together and have fun playing now that I'm getting back in the mix. Let me know what you guys think about the TU10 and what is your favorite skill build. Let me know in the comment section. I will see you guys in the next Division 2 video, but until then, nothing but skills out.